how good is it when you get a fantastic idea and it really gets your juices flowing, really gets your heart pumping. I remember the funnest one that I ever had. I was staying with a girlfriend in the city in Melbourne in Australia, and I just went in there and stayed with her for the night, and we went out and had a really great night. And I was actually researching for a business idea that I had. And we came back home, and I remember waking her up in the middle of the night asking her for a pen and paper because I could not sleep. The ideas were just coming and coming and coming and coming and coming and flowing and flowing and flowing and flowing and flowing. So I wrote down that night, lucky she gave me an exercise book. She actually didn't have one sheet of paper. I filled it nearly full that night. I think I was writing almost till the sun came up. And I just wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote all these ideas that came. That was probably one of the most fun businesses I've ever had. Now, why do I bring this up? Because sometimes your whole business plan isn't downloaded all at once. Sometimes it evolves as time goes by. For me, anyway, my plans often evolve, and I really like that because I'm not the same person that I was back then. So where I'm at physically, mentally and emotionally is at a completely different place. What I can handle financially now is at a completely different place. My whole psyche around business is at a completely different place. So back then, I remember taking action way too quick. Instead of waiting until the action was like unstoppable. So that's why I'm doing this process that I'm doing now. I remember I was as high as a kite for quite a long time when I felt the inspiration to make a video a day process. And so I knew I was on track, and I could feel every time I make a video, I can feel how on track I am. I can feel it in my bones. I can feel it in my energy. My energy just lifts automatically. Sometimes that happens when I've got up in front of a group of people to speak too. I can feel my energy just lift automatically, and I just love that. So I know that idea for me is a good idea. I'm not doing it because some guru suggested it. I'm not doing it because someone else did it and it really worked for their business. I'm doing it because it feels right for me. What I've noticed myself doing though, over the last few days, and the way I've noticed it is I've been watching other people, and I've looked at some other people, and I've looked at what I assume is they're trying too hard. They're trying too hard to get a particular result. Now, what you see in others is also a reflection of you or of me. What I see, let's put it this way, what I see in others is a reflection of me. I got a really big awakening about that this morning when I realised that I'd stopped listening to my subtle guidance, that real gentle guidance inside that is sometimes more like a whisper rather than harps and angels or a sermon on a mountain or, a big Mack truck whacking you with a message. It's really subtle. The strongest, the clearest, the best guidance that I receive is in those quiet times, is in those moments of stillness where I actually get more of a connection with my source. And I love how that happens. I love knowing that guidance is the strongest, is the most powerful, is the most profound for me. Because wow, listening to that again, I'm on track. Listening to those little subtle guidances again, I'm on track. And reminding myself not to try too hard, not to try and get a result, is to let the result come. Let that inspiration keep coming, because if I get a part of a download on a business plan, the rest is going to come. The rest is going to come. It's going to evolve in its own way. And I think that taking action too quick, I see other people do it, and I know that that's a direct sign that I've been doing it too. So I'm going to put off doing YouTube Live until I get that. I know that it's part of my path, doing live broadcasts. I know it's part of my path because every time I think about it, I get this really great, juicy sort of energy that just calls me, that just sings to me. And that's what is like, I call that the juice of life. But I don't get that energy unless I'm connected to that source inside. I can focus my way to energy, but I don't want to just use my mind. I want to use my mind, I want to use my heart, I want to use my emotional body, I want to use my physical body, and I want to use that source, that body of source that comes to me in those quiet times. And wow, something else I'm just inspired to say, something is about prayer. People sometimes have a tendency to just pray and pray and pray and pray and pray and pray and pray for the same thing. Now, I know that if I ask for something, it's given, it's done, end of story. And I ask for something once. I ask for something once. And then I get off and have a good time. I go off and go about my day. And then I just let the answer come. Let that thy will be done. Let thy will be done. I just love that. I just love knowing that. I don't have to do so much action towards these things. I can let the things unfold. And there's a real misconception out there sometimes that you have to do all these things yourself. We are never alone. We are never alone. Nobody is ever alone. There is always, we all have our own guidance. We all have our own source. We all have our own God. We all have our own great spirit. We all have our own inner spirit, inner self, higher self, whatever you want to call it. Everybody has that. And when you listen to it, I love it, listening to it in those subtle, subtle, subtle ways. It is just so beautiful. Thy will be done. Ask once, it's done.